This lecture is part of our video lecture course Knowledge and Innovation. In it we will listen to Professor Martina Arabadzhieva, and she will talk about knowledge management. We live in an ocean of information. Still, we are not able to make the best use of it. Companies do not make the best use of the information flows they are immersed in. In this lecture, Professor Arabadzhieva will talk about knowledge management, how to manage the knowledge in the most efficient way. Will you please briefly present yourself?
I'm Martina Arabadzhieva, and I'm part of the Faculty of Economics and Business Administration at Sofia University. My interests are in the field of education, research, social economy, and in general, how knowledge works. Professionally, I have experience as consultant to scientific journals, working with global research databases, and also my working in the corporate field showed me how important managing knowledge within the organization is. That's why I'm excited to share this course with everyone.
We started with the term knowledge management, and we need to know more about it. Would you briefly describe it? What is knowledge management?
In short, knowledge management is a multidisciplinary approach to achieve organizational objectives through the best use of knowledge. Knowledge management aims to provide the right information to the right people at the right time. Also, we have to keep in mind that knowledge is not a typical asset. For example, using it doesn't lead to consuming it. Also, sharing it doesn't result in losing it. And most of the organizational knowledge lies in the head and minds of the employees. Knowledge gives competitive advantage to companies, and knowledge management has two major goals: improving operational efficiency and increasing the organizational capacity to innovate. To succeed in today's challenging environment, companies need to avoid past errors and not reinvent the wheel repeatedly. Organizational knowledge doesn't mean to replace individual knowledge, but rather complement it, make it stronger, more coherent, and more broadly applied. Here, the definition of knowledge management includes two main types of knowledge: tacit and explicit. Explicit knowledge is formal, codified. It consists of various types of documents such as books, databases, reports, policy manuals, etc. And the important part is that it is easily shared across teams. In this way, the company is able to keep the intellectual capital within the organization and successfully transfer knowledge to new hires. On the other hand, tacit knowledge is usually acquired through personal experience. It's informal, it's challenging to articulate and codify it. For example, such knowledge is learning a new language or leadership skills. And this makes it much more difficult to share within the organization throughout the knowledge management process.
You said what knowledge management is, and I presume managing knowledge is a kind of a process. Would you describe this process?
Generally, knowledge management includes gathering, organizing, and sharing information. We could also add several steps such as acquiring, creating, assessing, applying, and reusing it. It starts with discovery or extracting information from data which is useful for the organization, and creating knowledge through various ways. From the practices of employees through independent research and other experiences. In this way, we acquire the knowledge which is already available in the organization, in individuals, teams, documents, and also external knowledge. Then organizing means describing, classifying, and indexing this information so it is easy to retrieve and reuse it. In order to be beneficial, knowledge should be put into context and also be validated and verified. We should review knowledge regularly for accuracy and relevance. Of course, the next step is sharing knowledge and providing it to everyone who needs it and seeks it. And here, team managers should encourage sharing knowledge and, if possible, incentivize it. Application and reuse is related to the process when employees and teams who get to this already acquired and organized knowledge and put it into practice. A documented lessons learned from employees' complex interaction with the client, for example, could ease the process for a colleague in the same situation. So, knowledge management requires diverse tools throughout the stages of the knowledge management cycle. In order for the process to be successful, the organization needs a specific strategy which is aligned with its business goals.
I began the introduction to this lecture thinking of our world as an ocean of information when we all and the companies along with us float. Still, despite the fact that we are immersed in an informational ocean, we are a kind of thirsty. We still lack the needed skills and the needed knowledge to perform our tasks in a better, more efficient way. It's a kind of a paradox. And now I would like to ask you why knowledge management is important.
Exactly what you mentioned. Knowledge management is a response to a complex information overloaded work environment. And several of the main reasons there is a need for application of knowledge management are, for example, globalization of business. Organizations nowadays are more global. They operate on multiple sites. They're multi-language and multicultural in nature. Also, more and more are becoming learner organizations. This means that we do more, we do it faster, and we need to work smarter. Technological advancement is another reason. At the moment, we are expected to be on all the times. Even the turnaround response time is measured in minutes, not in weeks. And of course, alternative facts, misinformation, fake news. Knowledge management is a tool to detect and even protect the spread of false and dangerous content.
You covered the theoretical description of knowledge and knowledge management. And now I think for our listeners it will be useful to have some practical examples, cases where the management of knowledge is applied.
Well, the purpose of knowledge management in itself is a practical one. It aims to improve organizational capacity through the better use of individual and collective knowledge. There are several advantages when applying knowledge management in an organization, and they're related to identification of skill gaps, maintaining knowledge within the organization, improving operational efficiency, the capability of making better decisions, and increasing communication and collaboration. Being more concrete, examples of use cases which brings business value to the company are, for example, day-to-day employee tasks. When we enable our employees to acquire the right answer and critical information quickly, they spend less time seeking for it and more time for activities which drive the business. Another huge area where knowledge management is applied is onboarding. Instead of overwhelming new hires with huge amounts of information during the first weeks, the company could continuously support them through knowledge management tools and provide them the needed information all the time. So onboarding and learning are all about providing employees with everything they need to perform. Effective onboarding and learning will result in better employee satisfaction and consequently to higher retention rates. Here we could also mention self-serve, which means that employees could find what they need by themselves without having to make a call, write an email, or in general rely on others. In this way, again, employee satisfaction is increased. Speaking of self-serve, customer support is another area where knowledge management is broadly applied. Customers have repeatedly stated that they prefer to find the answer by themselves and not having to call support. So, if knowledge management system is put appropriately into place, it will save customer support costs and increase customer satisfaction because it addresses common customer complaints such as being bounced around from person to person, being given inconsistent information, having to repeat themselves, or being just stuck on hold for long periods of time. Through increasing customer satisfaction, this could also lead to higher revenues. And effective knowledge management needs and is a combination of several elements: processes, people, technology, culture, in order to achieve its aim and provide the right knowledge when needed.
Nowadays, we often hear the expressions knowledge-based society, knowledge-based economy, knowledge-driven business. How does knowledge management relate to those concepts?
A knowledge society is a society where knowledge is the key asset. When organizations and people acquire, create, disseminate, share, and use knowledge more effectively for greater economic and social development. Utilizing the knowledge of a society is crucial for economic success. It supports both public and private sectors in adapting to the changing business environment, and here it is where knowledge management helps.
Thank you, Martina. You made this nice introduction to the concept of knowledge management, and I would ask you to help our listeners to improve their knowledge about knowledge management, giving them some places and sources to read further and seek deeper on the topic. Where could they go and what should they read if they want to improve their knowledge and skills about knowledge management?
Well, there are several researchers who lay the basis of knowledge management. For sure, everyone could look for materials and publications from Nunaka, Davenport and Prusak, but also keep in mind that there are practical resources which could help them, such as there is a standard, international standard for knowledge management, and also I will provide some sites where everyone could learn more about the different aspects.
So look for more and detailed list of sources in the bibliography attached to the lecture, and also I have the privilege to have also an author of a book dedicated to the knowledge too.
Thank you very much for the compliment. We will concentrate on managing knowledge within the organization.
Thank you.